Hey guys, today's video I'm going to talk a little bit about how to get your baby to fall asleep independently. Now this is by far the number one question that we all get asked. How to get your baby to fall asleep by themselves. However, it's not as easy or as simple as just pop and bub down. As you all know, pop and bub down, walking out and voila, they're asleep. Everything has to kind of line up. Now if you've got a baby that does that, by all means celebrate that moment. Amazing, great. I certainly didn't with Noah, and I had to obviously implement everything that I needed to with Cruz for Cruz to be a good sleeper. So look, my number one tips are timing is everything. We have to ensure timings are in line with your baby's developmental age, obviously their wake windows, because if you try to pop them down too early, they won't sleep. If you try to pop them down too late, they won't sleep. So we've got to find that perfect sweet spot of where your baby sits when it comes to their wake window. So how long they can capably stay awake for before they need a nap. And obviously it changes depending on age. So, newborn baby 0 to 6 to 12 weeks is literally 45, 50 minutes, give or take. Obviously as they get a little bit older, their wake window increases. So anywhere between 3 to 4 months, it's an hour and a half, 6 months, 8 months, 2 hours, and so on with bubs as they get older. You've got to find that sweet spot. So that's the absolute key. That's number one. Two, you've got to make sure the room environment is set and ready, because again, you're not going to get amazing success in most cases if the room's too bright and you don't have white noise. Now, I'm not saying that you won't, because some people do. That's, if you've got a baby that sleeps in a light room without white noise, don't change it. But most people do experience some challenges when it comes to sleeping and nap time. So if you can have everything on your side, the success rate is going to obviously be a lot higher. When it comes to room environment, temperature, white noise and dark room plays a big part. So dark room, key, that's going to help. And I have done previous videos before on dark room, how dark, why, and all that kind of stuff, which you can go back and have a look at. But babies are not afraid of the dark, so the darker the room you can get, the more success you're likely to experience. White noise is really important because babies are not used to being in a quiet space. So white noise plays a significant role. It calms them, it drowns out external noise, and it can also increase your chance of a good nap and a longer nap. Room temperature as well, you don't want to have the room too warm, because nobody sleeps in a warm environment, including us adults. The cooler the room, the better. The Australian standards is generally between 19 to 22 degrees Celsius. So that's kind of like a bit of a ballpark figure that you can work with. And obviously your baby will need to be dressed appropriately depending on the room temperature, and obviously outside plays a part as well. But cooler the better. And then obviously calories and a full tummy is the absolute key to success here, because you will not be able to get a baby to go to sleep and stay asleep unless they are completely content. So whether or not you offer them a top-up feed before they go down for a nap, or you align your timings so they feed relatively close to nap time, that again comes down to your baby's wake window, feed times, whether they're on solids, whether they're newborns. It really depends. But again, inside the app, I do have sleep guides. I've got food guides that can help you link that all together. But then once you've got all that aligned, then you can start to try to put your baby down to fall asleep independently. And you can do this. There's many ways to do this, whether you do it where you offer hands-on settling, whether you want to do it really gradually, where you've gone from feeding to holding to rocking to hands-on settling. There's many different ways you can do this, but before you do any of those methods, like I said, you want to ensure those other factors are in place first, because then your success rate is likely to be higher, right? Because what you don't want to do is pop your baby down and experience lots of crying and protesting. You don't want to do that unnecessarily. You want to ensure when you pop your bub down that everything is done. You've crossed your T's, you've dotted your I's, and then when you do get some or experience some protesting, we know it's protesting. We know bub isn't crying emotionally because something's missing. We have addressed everything. They are not neglected. You are not neglecting them. You are not abandoning them. They are just, if they are crying, it's purely protesting because they obviously want what they want. Now, whether that's what you were previously doing, whether it's rocking, feeding, holding, bouncing, whatever it might be. But again, you just want to ensure that all those things are in place. So when you pop bub down, you're going to get the best success. Probably the best way to do this for bubs between, 0 and 4 to 6 months, and I don't condone sleep training for under that age. I really don't. But obviously every bub needs to sleep and every parent needs to be able to have a baby that sleeps. So you can obviously implement some hands-on settling and some really gentle measures to get your little one to sleep without sleep training in that age category. And that's where hands-on settling comes into play. So again, inside the app, I've got many methods to choose from the most gentlest method to more of a responsive method where you get results relatively quickly, I suppose you best to say. And then obviously after the age of 6 and 7 months, then there's obviously sleep training methods in there that you can follow, you can choose, you can adapt depending on your parenting style and your child's personality and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, ultimately we have to ensure that those key factors are in place first, because that is what's going to get your baby to start being able to fall asleep independently, fuss-free. You know, you don't want all that protesting and crying, especially for every single time you want to do, you know, nap time or bedtime. You don't want those challenges every single day, and you shouldn't be experiencing those challenges every single day. You know, initially, yeah, there's going to be some protesting, guaranteed, because that's how babies communicate, right? That's what they do when they're not happy, or even when they are happy. That's how they communicate. But once you've gotten through that first hurdle of getting them to start falling asleep independently, then every nap and bedtime and everything after that should become easier and better, because ultimately practice, time and consistency is what creates you to have a good sleeper. You know, sleeping is a skill. It's a skill for life. So once they've learned it, it's a skill that they're never going to forget. But it does take practice to master. Now, step 1 is getting your baby to fall asleep independently. Step 2 is getting longer sleeps at night and then better stretches through the day. And that will come with time and practice and consistency, like I just said. But ultimately, step 1 is getting your baby to fall asleep first, because you won't achieve better nights and longer stretches of sleep during the day unless step 1 has been implemented and then practiced and then mastered. So look, I hope that helps. I hope it gives you a bit of an overview of what to do, how to do it, what steps to take, and, you know, give you a bit of confidence, because a lot of parents feel really deflated and really defeated by the fact that their baby just doesn't do amazing naps or doesn't sleep all night. But step 1, getting them to fall asleep independently to begin with. Once that's been achieved, then everything else does fall into place naturally. We've got to ensure that everything else over here is addressed first, and then things will just fall into place over time. So look, I hope that helps. There is all this information, whether it's sleep training or hands-on settling or all those key factors that I spoke about, inside the app for a lot more information that goes into a lot more detail. So I hope this information can help, and even if it can just guide you in the right direction. If you do have any other queries or questions, please feel free to pop them in the community inside the Babysitting Magic app.